The observation begins at 14:23 hours, October 7th, 1972. Prisoner processing facility, Binh Duong province. 19 North Vietnamese women, POWs, transferred from South Vietnamese custody to American facility for repatriation processing. Standard procedures, standard transport, standard documentation protocols, except what happens when the women enter the facility courtyard and see American soldiers moving around doing routine work. Except what happens when Nguyen Thi Lan, age 26, stops walking completely to watch a US Army sergeant carry two 50-pound supply boxes like they weigh nothing. Except what happens when she whispers to the woman beside her in Vietnamese, words the interpreter translates immediately. "Look how he moves. He's carrying weight that would crush me, and he walks like it's nothing, like he's carrying air. They move like giants from old stories." The interpreter hesitates before translating this, unsure how the Americans will react to being compared to giants. But US Army Captain Jennifer Walsh, processing officer age 32, understands immediately what she's witnessing. These women are seeing American soldiers perform routine physical tasks for the first time. Tasks that seem normal to Americans but extraordinary to Vietnamese women, who've never encountered people with this much casual physical strength and size, moving through space with this much ease and power. This is the story of October 7, 1972, when 19 Vietnamese women POWs couldn't stop watching American soldiers move, not watching them fight or train or demonstrate combat skills, just watching them walk, lift, carry, reach, bend, watching them exist in physical space with casual strength that seemed impossible. How the simple act of American soldiers doing routine tasks contradicted everything propaganda taught about American physical capabilities. How watching Americans move through space taught more about physical reality than any description could convey. How movement reveals strength more clearly than static observation. How Vietnamese women discovered that Americans don't just look big, they move with power that makes propaganda's physical descriptions seem laughably inadequate. If you want stories about propaganda's physical lies collapsing through simple observation, where watching people move contradicts years of teaching and casual strength reveals truth, hit subscribe. Because what happens when these 19 women watch Americans perform routine tasks reveals everything about the difference between propaganda descriptions and observable reality. About enemies whose casual movements demonstrate strength propaganda never prepared them for. About Americans who make heavy lifting look effortless and long distances look short. About the power of watching people move naturally through space to shatter carefully constructed beliefs about physical capabilities. About how Americans, just being themselves, normal soldiers doing normal work, contradicts propaganda through movement that speaks louder than any words about strength, endurance, and physical capability. What they were taught about American physical capability. Before understanding the women's reactions, you need to understand what they were taught to expect about American physical performance and capabilities. What propaganda promised about how Americans move and work and perform physical tasks. The senior woman among the prisoners, Le Thi Han, age 33, former NVA supply officer, remembers the political education sessions precisely. She attended years of training about enemy characteristics, including detailed instruction about American physical capabilities designed to prevent Vietnamese soldiers from being demoralized by American physical advantages. Political Education Session number 178. Standard Curriculum. Americans rely on technology because they lack physical capability. Americans use vehicles and machinery for tasks Vietnamese soldiers perform manually because Americans are physically weak and lack endurance. American soldiers cannot march long distances carrying heavy loads like Vietnamese soldiers can. Americans tire easily in tropical heat. Americans require frequent rest and abundant supplies. Vietnamese soldiers are tougher, stronger, more capable of enduring hardship. Revolutionary spirit creates physical superiority over capitalist softness. Vietnamese soldiers can outlast Americans physically through superior endurance and revolutionary determination. This was propaganda. Systematic lies designed to boost Vietnamese morale and prevent demoralization when encountering Americans with superior logistics and technology, attributing American use of vehicles and equipment to weakness rather than abundance, making Vietnamese lack of resources seem like proof of superior toughness rather than result of poverty and poor logistics, ensuring Vietnamese soldiers would feel physically superior despite observable evidence that Americans accomplished more work with less apparent effort. Han believed this teaching. She incorporated it into supply calculations. Vietnamese soldiers can carry more and march longer than American soldiers, therefore Vietnamese supply requirements are actually lower per soldier, despite poorer logistics. She taught subordinates that Americans are soft and weak, requiring constant resupply and mechanized transport because they lack Vietnamese physical capability. She prepared soldiers to outlast Americans through superior endurance. She believed lies, well-intentioned lies designed to maintain morale, but lies that would collapse immediately upon watching Americans perform routine physical work. She believed because she had never observed Americans actually moving, working, carrying, marching. She taught what propaganda promised rather than what reality would demonstrate. Now she's about to watch Americans perform routine tasks. Now propaganda's claims about American physical weakness meet observable reality of American soldiers casually doing work that would exhaust Vietnamese soldiers. Now everything she believed about American physical limitations is about to be tested against simple observation of Americans moving through space. 1423 hours. The sergeant who carries boxes like ourware. The women enter the courtyard where American soldiers are performing routine logistics work, moving supplies, organizing equipment, preparing for standard operations. Nothing unusual. Just soldiers doing daily work that keeps military facilities functioning. Staff Sergeant James Martinez, age 29, is carrying supply boxes from a truck to a storage building. Standard task. Each box weighs approximately 50 pounds. Martinez carries 2 boxes at once, one under each arm, 100 pounds total weight, walking quickly across the courtyard with steady gait and no apparent strain. From American perspective, this is completely normal. Strong soldier carrying reasonable load during routine work. Nothing remarkable. From Land's perspective, a Vietnamese woman who weighs 92 pounds total, who has never lifted anything heavier than 30 pounds in her entire life, who considers 25 pounds a heavy load. Martinez is performing something that seems physically impossible. She watches him walk across the courtyard carrying boxes that together outweigh her entire body. She watches him maintain normal walking speed despite the load. She watches him show no strain in his face or posture. She watches him set the boxes down carefully, turn around, and walk back to the truck to get more boxes without pausing to rest. She watches him repeat this process multiple times, carrying 100 pounds of weight across the courtyard, walking fast and steady like the weight means nothing, never resting between trips. She stares in disbelief. She whispers to Pham Thi Mai beside her, "That soldier! Look at what he's carrying. Those boxes, each one probably weighs as much as we weigh. He's carrying both at once, and he's walking like he's carrying nothing, like the boxes are empty. Like 100 pounds is nothing to him. How? How is this possible? Propaganda said Americans are physically weak and rely on technology because they lack strength. But he's carrying weight that would crush me, and he's moving like it's effortless, like it's nothing. Mai watches Martinez continue his work, making multiple trips, never showing the fatigue. She's making mental calculations based on her own physical experience. I can carry maybe 25 pounds comfortably. 30 pounds is very heavy for me. 50 pounds I cannot carry at all. Too heavy, too awkward, impossible. He's carrying 100 pounds. That's more than 4 times what I can carry. And he's doing it repeatedly without rest. His physical capability is... I don't have frame of reference for this. I've never seen anyone move heavy weight like this so easily. Other women are noticing the same thing. Watching American soldiers perform routine logistics work. Watching them carry loads that seem impossible. Watching them move heavy equipment with casual ease. Watching them demonstrate strength through routine tasks that reveal capability more clearly than any demonstration or boast could. Thi Duong, age 30, observes another soldier, Specialist Robert Chen, age 25, lifting a crate that clearly weighs 70 or 80 pounds, lifting it from ground level to shoulder height in one smooth motion, then walking with it to a storage area. She whispers, "Look how he lifts, from ground to shoulder in one motion. That crate is so heavy, and he lifts it like it's light, like it weighs nothing. I couldn't lift that crate at all. I couldn't move it. I definitely couldn't lift it to shoulder height, but he does it easily. His strength it's beyond my understanding. I've never seen humans move heavy things like this so casually." The women watch American soldiers work. Routine work, daily tasks, nothing special from an American perspective. But from Vietnamese women's perspective, women who have lived their entire lives in a society with different physical capabilities, different average body sizes, different strength levels, watching American soldiers perform routine work is watching people demonstrate strength that seems almost superhuman in comparison to what they have experienced before. The movement that reveals everything. But it's not just the lifting that captures the women's attention. It's how Americans move through space, how they walk, how they cover ground, how they transition between tasks with fluid economy of motion that comes from having physical reserves Vietnamese women don't possess. Corporal David Thompson, age 24, walks across the courtyard to retrieve something from another building approximately 100 meters away. He walks quickly, not running, just walking fast, and covers the distance in what seems like impossibly short time to the Vietnamese women watching. His strides are long, each step covering more ground than 2 of their steps would cover. His pace is sustained. He maintains the same quick speed across the entire distance without slowing. He reaches the building, retrieves what he needs, and walks back the same way. Fast, steady, covering ground efficiently, with long strides and sustained pace. Lan watches this and feels strange cognitive dissonance. She whispers, "Look how fast he walks. Look how much ground he covers with each step. Look how he doesn't slow down or get tired. If I tried to walk that fast, I'd be exhausted after 50 meters. I'd need to slow down. My legs are too short to take strides that long. I can't sustain that pace." But he makes it look easy. Like walking that fast is normal for him. Like covering 100 meters quickly and then turning around and doing it again is nothing special. His physical capability for covering distances, it's so far beyond mine that we're not even comparable. Mai adds her observation. And watch how he moves when he bends down to pick something up. One smooth motion. Bend, grasp, lift, stand. No awkwardness, no strain visible, no moment of adjustment or repositioning. Just fluid movement, picking up whatever he needs and continuing. His body moves efficiently through space in ways I've never seen. Strong people I've known in Vietnam, farmers, labourers, soldiers, they're strong, but they don't move like this. This isn't just strength. This is strength combined with powers, combined with training, combined with I don't know what. But watching Americans move teaches me that they're capable of physical things I can't even imagine attempting. Another soldier, Sergeant First Class Michael Torres, age 31, climbs a ladder carrying tools and equipment. He climbs quickly despite carrying additional weight. He reaches the top, performs some maintenance task while balanced on the ladder, then descends just as quickly. The whole operation takes maybe 2 minutes. The women watch this demonstration of strength, balance, and coordination combined with casual confidence. Nguyen Thi Binh, age 27, observes. He climbs while carrying tools, climbs quickly, works while balanced, never appears uncertain or unstable. His body control is, I would be afraid to climb that ladder carrying nothing. I would climb slowly, carefully, worrying about balance. He carries weight and climbs like it's routine. Like his body knows exactly what to do and does it without hesitation. That kind of physical confidence comes from having strength reserves and body control I cannot imagine possessing. Watching him climb teaches me more about American physical capability than any description ever did. The women continue watching throughout the afternoon, watching Americans perform routine tasks, watching them move through space with casual strength and endurance, watching them work for hours without apparent fatigue, watching them demonstrate physical capabilities through normal daily activities that reveal strength more clearly than any combat demonstration would. They're learning that propaganda lied about American physical weakness. They're learning by watching that Americans don't rely on technology because they're weak. Americans rely on technology because they have abundant resources, and when technology isn't available, Americans perform manual work with casual strength that exceeds Vietnamese capabilities. They're learning through observation that American soldiers are not soft or weak, but rather extraordinarily strong and capable compared to Vietnamese population averages. The comparison they make to Vietnamese men. During an afternoon break, the women gather in a holding area where they can see American soldiers continuing their work while the women rest. They start discussing what they've observed, trying to process physical capabilities that contradict everything they were taught. Han speaks first, her voice showing confusion mixed with anger at propaganda that misled her. I taught soldiers that Americans are physically weak. I believed Americans rely on technology because they lack strength and endurance. I used American mechanization as proof of American physical inferiority. Told soldiers that Vietnamese can march carrying loads Americans must transport by vehicle, that Vietnamese can work in heat Americans cannot tolerate, that Vietnamese physical capability exceeds American capability. I taught lies. She continues with growing emotion. We've been watching Americans work all afternoon, manual work, heavy lifting, distance walking, sustained effort. They're not weak. They're extraordinarily strong. That sergeant carrying 2 50-pound boxes, he's carrying over 100 pounds like it's nothing. That's more than strongest Vietnamese man I've ever known could carry comfortably. An American soldier does it casually, repeatedly, without apparent strain. Americans don't rely on technology because they're weak. Americans have technology because they're wealthy, and when they must work manually, they demonstrate strength that exceeds what I've seen from Vietnamese men. Mai adds her observation. I've watched Vietnamese men work my entire life. Farmers, labourers, soldiers, strong Vietnamese men doing hard physical work. The strongest Vietnamese men I've known can carry maybe 60 pounds comfortably, maybe 70 pounds with strain. American soldiers are casually carrying 100 pounds. Vietnamese soldiers can march long distances, but we march slowly with frequent rest. American soldiers walk fast, covering ground quickly, and don't appear to tire. Vietnamese soldiers are tough and enduring, but Americans have both endurance and strength that Vietnamese generally lack. It's not that Vietnamese are weak. Vietnamese soldiers are very capable, but Americans are operating at a different level of physical capability altogether. Duong speaks quietly. And this explains things propaganda couldn't explain. Why Americans move so quickly across terrain. Why American patrols cover so much ground. Why American soldiers don't seem to tire in combat. Why Americans can maintain operations that would exhaust Vietnamese forces. It's not just technology and supplies. It's that American soldiers have physical capabilities, strength, endurance, size, stride length, all of it, that let them operate at pace and intensity Vietnamese soldiers struggle to match. We attributed American operational tempo to technology, but watching them move teaches that American bodies are part of their tactical advantage. They can do things physically that we cannot match. This is difficult realization for the women. They're understanding that propaganda didn't just lie. Propaganda inverted reality, taught that Americans are weak when Americans are strong, taught that Vietnamese superior physical capability compensates for American technological superiority when reality is, Americans have both technological and physical advantages. Taught that revolutionary spirit overcomes American softness when reality is, American soldiers are neither soft nor weak, but rather formidable physically. The lies weren't designed to be cruel, the lies were designed to maintain morale, but lies collapse when you watch Americans casually performing work that would exhaust Vietnamese soldiers. Reality teaches truth propaganda tried to hide. Observation defeats indoctrination. Watching people move reveals capabilities words can misrepresent but movement cannot disguise. The question about why Americans are so strong. One of the younger women, Tran Thi Nga, age 22, asks the question several have been thinking. Why are Americans so strong? Is it just size, or is there something else? Training, nutrition, genetics, that makes them capable of these physical feats we're watching? Han considers this carefully. It's multiple factors. Size matters. Larger bodies have more muscle mass and can generate more force. Americans are significantly larger on average than Vietnamese. Taller, heavier, broader, more robust build. That size translates to strength advantage. Vietnamese man weighing 130 pounds cannot match strength of American man weighing 190 pounds. Physics doesn't allow it. Size matters. But it's not just size. Nutrition matters. Americans are well fed from childhood. Abundant protein, adequate calories, proper nutrition during growth years that allows bodies to develop fully. Vietnamese children often undernourished. Growth stunted by inadequate nutrition. Bodies that don't develop full potential. Adult Vietnamese soldiers may be tough and capable, but they're working with bodies that didn't receive optimal nutrition during development. Americans have both genetic potential and nutritional advantage, both contributing to physical capability. Training matters too. American military trains send soldiers systematically. Physical conditioning, strength training, endurance development. We've watched Americans work all afternoon without apparent fatigue. That endurance comes from training that builds cardiovascular capacity and muscular endurance. Americans are strong naturally, but also trained to be stronger. Vietnamese soldiers train too. But American training systems are more comprehensive, better resourced, more effective at developing physical capability. Americans are strong through combination of genetics, nutrition, and training, all three factors working together. My adds another consideration, and cultural factors. American culture values physical fitness. Americans engage in sports and physical activities recreationally. American men lift weights for fun, run for exercise, compete in athletics. Physical strength is culturally valued in America in ways it isn't always in Vietnam. Americans develop physical capabilities through cultural practices before they even enter military. That creates baseline physical capability that military training enhances further. Americans arrive at basic training already stronger than many Vietnamese soldiers will ever be. Then military training makes them even stronger. Cultural investment in physical development matters. The women process this multi-factor explanation. Americans are strong because of genetics, nutrition, training, and culture, all working together to create physical capabilities that Vietnamese soldiers struggle to match. It's not one factor, it's systematic advantages across multiple domains creating observable strength differences that watching Americans work makes undeniable. Understanding these factors helps the women understand why propaganda's claims were false. Propaganda simplified complex reality into simple layers. Americans are weak because capitalism makes them soft. But reality is Americans are strong because multiple systematic advantages create physical capabilities that exceed Vietnamese averages. Propaganda's oversimplification was designed to maintain morale but collapsed immediately when tested against observable evidence of Americans casually performing physically demanding work. The realization about combat implications. As the women watch Americans continue working into the evening, another realization begins forming. The physical capabilities they're observing aren't just impressive, they have tactical implications that propaganda never acknowledged. Binh speaks carefully. If American soldiers can carry 100 pounds easily, that means American soldiers can carry more ammunition, more equipment, more supplies than Vietnamese soldiers can carry. If American soldiers can walk faster and cover more ground without tiring, that means American patrols move faster and operate over larger areas than Vietnamese patrols. If American soldiers have physical reserves allowing them to work for hours without apparent fatigue, that means Americans can sustain combat operations longer than Vietnamese forces. The physical advantages we're watching have tactical consequences. She continues, propaganda told us Vietnamese soldiers would win through superior determination and revolutionary spirit despite American technology. But propaganda never acknowledged that Americans have physical advantages that affect tactics and operations. Vietnamese soldier carrying 40 pounds of equipment fighting American soldier carrying 70 pounds of equipment. The American has more ammunition, more supplies, more capacity. Vietnamese patrol moving 3 kilometers per hour fighting American patrol moving 5 kilometers per hour. Americans control more terrain, respond faster, have tactical initiative. Physical differences we're seeing create tactical advantages propaganda never mentioned. Han nods, understanding dawning. And this explains Vietnamese tactical difficulties that propaganda couldn't explain adequately. Why Americans seem to appear everywhere quickly, why Americans maintained operational tempo we struggled to match, why American soldiers seem to have endless ammunition while we rationed carefully, why Americans could fight longer and harder than propaganda promised. It wasn't just technology and air support, it was physical capability translating to tactical advantages. Americans could do things operationally that we couldn't match because American bodies gave them capabilities Vietnamese bodies lacked. This realization is sobering. They're understanding that the war wasn't just about ideology and determination versus technology and firepower. Physical capabilities mattered. American soldiers' strength, endurance, and size created tactical advantages that affected operations at every level. Propaganda denying these physical advantages didn't make them disappear. It just meant Vietnamese soldiers weren't prepared for the reality of fighting enemies with significant physical superiority, in addition to technological superiority. Watching Americans move taught them what propaganda hid. American soldiers are formidable physically in ways that create tactical advantages beyond what technology alone provides. Revolutionary spirit doesn't overcome physical capability differences when those differences are as substantial as what they're observing. Size matters, strength matters, endurance matters, all translating to tactical effects that propaganda never honestly addressed. The medical screening, doctor's explanation. US Army. Dr. Captain Sarah Mitchell, age 35, conducts medical screening later that day. During examinations, she notices the women seem particularly interested in discussing physical capability differences they've observed. Through the interpreter, she addresses this directly. "You've been watching our soldiers work today. I understand you're surprised by what you've seen. Would you like me to explain the physical differences you're observing from a medical perspective?" The women nod eagerly. They want to understand what they're seeing. Mitchell continues professionally. Average American male soldier is approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighs about 180 pounds with significant muscle mass. Average Vietnamese male is approximately 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs about 125 pounds with less muscle mass. Average American female is 5 feet 4 inches tall, 140 pounds. So American women average larger than Vietnamese men. These are population-level differences based on genetics and nutrition across generations. The strength differences you're observing come from multiple factors. Larger bodies have more muscle tissue available for force generation. American soldiers receive high-protein diets supporting muscle development. American military training specifically develops strength and endurance. American cultural practices like sports and recreational fitness create baseline capabilities before military service. All these factors combine to create physical capabilities that exceed Vietnamese population averages significantly. The work you watch today, carrying 100 pounds, walking fast for extended periods, stained manual labor, that's normal for American soldiers. Our training standards require soldiers to be capable of these tasks. We build operational plans assuming soldiers have these capabilities. This isn't exceptional performance. This is standard expected capability for American military personnel. What seems extraordinary to you is routine for us because we systematically develop these capabilities through selection, training, and support. Lan asks through the interpreter, "So Americans can be this strong because America invests in developing physical capabilities systematically, through nutrition, training, culture, all working together?" Mitchell nods. Exactly. American wealth allows investment in human physical development, adequate nutrition for growing children, physical education in schools, sports programs, recreational fitness culture. Then military training enhances already developed capabilities. Vietnamese soldiers may be tough and determined, but Vietnamese society doesn't have resources to invest in physical development the same way. You're seeing results of systematic investment in human capabilities across entire lifespan. Americans aren't naturally stronger. Americans are systematically developed to be stronger through multi-generational investment in nutrition, health, education, and training. This explanation helps the women understand that what they are observing isn't just individual differences, but systematic differences created by resource investment over generations. American strength comes from American wealth invested in human development. Vietnamese lack comparable strength, not because Vietnamese are inherently inferior, but because Vietnam lacks comparable resources for human development. Understanding systematic basis for observed differences makes the differences less mystifying but no less significant tactically. The departure and what they learned. 2 days later, the women are ready for repatriation. They've been processed, documented, medically screened, and thoroughly observed American soldiers performing routine work that revealed physical capabilities propaganda never prepared them for. Captain Walsh meets with them before departure. "You're going home today. Before you leave, I want to acknowledge what you observed during your time here. You watched our soldiers work. You saw them perform tasks that surprised you because they contradicted what you'd been taught about American physical capabilities. I hope you learned that propaganda often lies about enemy physical characteristics to maintain morale, but those lies fail immediately when tested against observable reality. American soldiers are strong because America invests in developing that strength through nutrition, training, and cultural practices. Vietnamese soldiers are capable too, but operating with different resources and different physical development. Neither is superior as humans, but capabilities differ based on systematic factors. You watched those capability differences demonstrated through routine work. That observation taught you truth propaganda tried to hide." Han responds for the group. "Captain Walsh, we learned that propaganda lied systematically about American physical weakness. We were taught Americans rely on technology because they lack strength. We watched Americans casually perform manual work demonstrating strength far exceeding what we were taught Americans possess. We observed physical capabilities through watching movement, Americans carrying heavy loads, walking fast, working sustained hours without apparent fatigue. Movement revealed truth words had hidden. We understand now that American operational capabilities come partly from technology, but also from physical capabilities that let Americans operate at tempo and intensity Vietnamese forces struggle to match. We watched tactics demonstrated through routine work. We learned that physical advantages matter tactically in ways propaganda never acknowledged. We're carrying home understanding that Americans are formidable physically, in addition to being well-equipped technologically. Both advantages working together create military capabilities propaganda never honestly described. Walsh nods. Good. Carry that understanding. Teach that truth. Let people know that propaganda's physical lies fail when tested against observation. But also understand that physical capability differences don't make anyone better or worse as humans, just different instant capabilities based on resources and development. Americans are strong because America invests in strength. That's about resources, not inherent superiority. Understand the difference. The women board transport carrying understanding that Americans move like giants because Americans are systematically developed to be strong through generational investment in nutrition, training, and culture. They leave as witnesses to physical capabilities propaganda denied. They leave ready to teach that watching people move reveals truths about strength and capability that words can misrepresent, but movement demonstrates undeniably. They leave changed by watching Americans perform routine work that revealed extraordinary capabilities through ordinary tasks. They leave understanding that propaganda's lies about enemy physical characteristics fail immediately when you watch enemies move through space naturally, casually, revealing capabilities through movement that speaks louder than any propaganda description. Today, the women who remember how Americans move. Nguyen Thi Lan is 78 years old now, living in Hanoi. She teaches physical education and sports science at a university. October 7, 1972, remains her primary example of how observation defeats propaganda. She tells students, "I was taught Americans are physically weak and rely on technology to compensate for lack of strength. I believed this until I watched American soldiers work. Watched them carry loads that would crush me. Watched them walk fast for hours without tiring. Watched them move with casual strength that revealed physical capabilities propaganda never acknowledged. One afternoon of watching Americans perform routine work destroyed years of propaganda about American weakness. My eyes taught truth my ears had been deceived about. I teach now that movement reveals truth about physical capability. You can lie with words about strength, but you cannot lie through movement. Strong person moves differently than weak person. Capable person performs work differently than incapable person. I watched Americans move, and their movement taught me they possess physical capabilities far exceeding what propaganda claimed. That observation changed everything I believed about American physical characteristics." Multiple women teach similar lessons across Vietnam. Han teaches military history, analysing how physical capability differences affected tactical operations. Binh teaches sports science, using American training methods as example of systematic physical development. Duong teaches nutrition, emphasising how adequate childhood nutrition affects adult physical capability. 52 years of testimony, thousands of students taught. Truth spreading that propaganda lied about American weakness, while Americans demonstrated strength through routine movement revealing capabilities words had hidden. Physical evidence defeating physical lies. Observation teaching truth. Movement speaking louder than propaganda descriptions. The numbers. October 7th, 1972, 19. North Vietnamese women, POWs, observed American soldiers working 6+ hours of continuous observation. Multiple American soldiers observed performing routine tasks. Weight carried by American soldiers, 50 to 100 pounds routinely. Distance walked by American soldiers, kilometers covered quickly, without apparent fatigue. Vietnamese women's assessment. Physical capabilities far exceeding propaganda descriptions. Physical capability comparisons documented. American soldier average carrying capacity 70 to 100 pounds comfortably. Vietnamese woman average carrying capacity 20-30 pounds maximum. American soldier walking speed 4 to 5 kilometers per hour sustained. Vietnamese woman walking speed 2-3 kilometers per hour sustained. Strength difference. American soldiers 3 to 4 but stronger than Vietnamese women. Endurance difference. American soldiers sustain work hours longer. Tactical implications recognized. Americans carry more equipment, ammunition, supplies. Americans move faster across terrain. Americans maintain operational tempo longer. Americans have physical reserves affecting combat effectiveness. Physical advantages complement technological advantages. Long-term impact. 52 years of testimony about observed physical capabilities. Multiple women teaching about systematic strength, development. Thousands of students learning observation defeats propaganda. Truth spreading. That movement reveals capabilities words can hide. Understanding that physical investment creates capability advantages. 19 women, one afternoon watching. Routine work revealing extraordinary capabilities. Soldiers carrying weight that seemed impossible. Movement demonstrating strength, propaganda denied. Hours of observation destroying years of indoctrination through Americans casually performing tasks that revealed truth through simple movement. Propaganda promised weakness. Observation showed strength. Teaching claimed technology masks incapability. Watching revealed capability exceeding expectations. Lies about physical characteristics collapsed through seeing people move naturally through space, demonstrating capabilities movement cannot disguise. Giants moving, boxes carried like air, distance covered quickly, work sustained for hours, strength revealed through routine tasks, capabilities demonstrated through normal movement, truth taught through watching, propaganda defeated through observation, movement teaching, strength revealing, capabilities demonstrating, truth defeating lies through Americans being themselves, strong soldiers performing routine work, moving through space naturally, revealing physical capabilities propaganda tried to hide but movement made undeniable. Everything learned from watching, everything taught through movement, everything forever.